Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit the subscribe button. There it is, so you don't miss any of our football content this season. It has been, if I might say, fantastic. This week's college football preview is brought to you by our friends at Cosm, the world's greatest fan experience. If you're in LA or Dallas, you want an immersive football experience, go check out the Fiesta Bowl and shared reality at Cosm, where every play comes to life, putting you right on the field. I love it. Penn State takes on Boise State in the college football playoff quarters on Tuesday, December 31st. After crushing SMU, Penn State faces Mountain West champ Boise State for a chance to play in the college football playoff semis. Wrap yourself in the heart-pounding action, every tackle, interception, and touchdown. Experience the game like never before. Enjoy immersive games in the dome, an incredible multi-viewing experience in the hall where you can catch every game and indulge in the carefully curated menus, delicious fan favorites, crafted cocktails, all good. Been there many times. Get tickets now at Cosm.com. All right, here we go. Another edition of Sharper Square. Chad Millman, co-host of The Favorites. I will have a couple of college games in here as well because I think some of the lines are working our favor. By the way, I enjoy the college football playoff. First rounds of the NCAA tournament, first rounds of the tournament aren't going to be great. I suspect going forward, the second round will be reseeded. That would be my guess. It will expand to 14 or 16 teams. I think there's been a bit of an overreaction to the tournament. What say you?
Yeah, totally. I feel like two things out of this. One, the first point you just made, every year in March Madness, the first round has, 14 blowouts and two great games. And then but everyone remembers the great games. The argument will expand the field. And then all of a sudden you're going to expand the field and there's going to be a MAC team that ends up upsetting a Big Ten team, a 12-5 scenario. You're going to have that in college football one day. I don't worry about it. Also, two, you could have predicted before Tennessee played Ohio State, after Notre Dame had beat up on Indiana, and after SMU was getting it handed to them by Penn State. I was in a text chain with a bunch of IU buddies, right? And I was saying, you can guarantee right now, next year, overcorrection for SEC and strength of schedule, you get 7 SEC teams, you'll get 2 Big Ten teams chosen from Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State. You'll get Clemson out of the ACC. You'll get who cares out of the Big 12, and you'll get Boise State, right? Because you won't get the at-large team. You won't get the third Big Ten team because now the committee is too scared because of all these blowouts. So you're going to get just the SEC. And when those teams are blown out in the first round, then you expand and you're like, screw it. We're just going to let everybody in and hopefully we get some upsets sometime down the road. That's my take.
Yeah. All right, so we'll have some college football picks. We'll start with the NFL. Broncos plus 3.5. Head coach Sean Payton with extra time. They played on Thursday. Cincinnati's defense is atrocious. I think people are overreacting to just how good Joe Burrow is. They can't stop people. Offensive coach, extra time. Listen, they outplayed the Chargers for the first half. And, then Justin Herbert just did what great quarterbacks do. He took the game over. This one jumped out to me as an overreaction. Broncos plus 3.5, sharper
so
square.
It's totally sharp. You nailed it about Joe Burrow. The Browns were in the Bengals backfield the entire game. Joe Burrow had no choice but to look brilliant and make brilliant plays like he's Superman because he was going to get sacked. He's pirouetting into full-on dives and throwing touchdown passes because his offensive line is so bad that he had no choice but to look like someone who everybody wants to bet on. Joe Burrow kind of holds the ball. That's kind of his MO. Yeah. He wants to throw the ball downfield. He wants to get it to Higgins. He wants to get it to Jamar Chase. I would want to do that too. So it's not entirely his fault. He's playing into what he thinks will get them the best opportunity to win. But the Broncos have as good a pass rush as Cleveland, and they don't have Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who, by the way, almost got the Browns to cover that game. That's how bad the Bengals defense is. So let me give you some stats about Bo Nix that should make you feel more comfortable about this, because I bet it at 3.5. Bo Nix against bad defenses, so defenses below the 50% threshold across a variety of metrics in the NFL, of which the Bengals are one. 7-0 straight up and against the spread, 29 points per game, 13 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The Broncos are ranked as a better team than the Bengals across the board in all DVOA
Right.
metrics. Like
Yep.
it's overinflation on the Broncos losing in prime time and the Bengals, Joe Burrow looking like a superhero, literally.
Another game that jumped out to me, I don't like to bet I don't like to bet bad teams, but the Saints probably the worst humiliation in the league this year. A standalone Monday Night Football game, didn't score, and it almost looked like they quit. Now they're at home getting a point against a horrible Raiders team,
I,
sharp or
I,
square.
I, I don't even know what to say. Colin, in all the years we've been doing this, I will come on this show, whether it was at ESPN or here, and try to get you to bet the ugliest team in the worst game. And you're like, no, not betting a game I don't want to watch, not betting a bad quarterback. I was going through my notes before we came on the show, and I was thinking, all right, what game am I going to get him to bet that he's like, I haven't asked about it? It was the Saints. I'm going to have to work on the fly and think of a new game. Of course, we're betting the Saints here. Like, they just got blown out in prime time.
Humiliated.
Historically, you bet that team blindfolded. It doesn't matter that they're playing JV players. It doesn't matter who their quarterback is. They're at home. They're as a dog. They just got blown out. Every sort of trend says you play that team. On the other side, the Raiders, look, they beat up on the Jags, but let's not be fooled. They had a 10-game losing streak, and the Jags kept turning the ball over. So I wouldn't be too anxious to bet on the Raiders as road favorites in this spot. Give me the Saints. Now I got to scramble and think of what my other game I'm going to try to get you to bet is.
Well, I like the Falcons plus floor at the Commanders, and the reason I like it is, I mean, Jaden Daniels was a hero at the end, but he just tried to give that thing away early. I think Michael Penix is really good. I think they have a good offensive line. Will hold the Commanders' pass rush off. 4 points is a lot. I do not. I think the Falcons are going to be competitive. Listen, they're playing for a division title. All right, this is a big game for them. So this is not like the Commander, and the Commanders aren't going to get home field advantage. The Falcons can win home field advantage with these wins down the stretch. It just seems to me, again, it wasn't that they just beat the Giants. It's not just that, but Penix's accuracy. Greg Cosell talked about it this week. This kid has an
Yeah,
arm. I don't care if it's windy. I like the Falcons plus four, sharp or
totally
square.
sharp. Wise guys bet this down from 4.5 to 4. I'd be surprised if it isn't a 3.5 or lower by the game. A lot of the reasons you just indicated. Michael Penix had a lot of fans into the draft. A lot of professional bettors. Don't forget, the draft has become a huge betting event. Professional bettors are digging into game film from college the same way they're digging into game film on a week to week basis now, because there's a money making opportunity. There's a market, right? Michael Penix is one of those guys, not dissimilar from Jaden Daniels, not dissimilar from Bo Nix, not that dissimilar from Caleb Williams. Ton of film on the guy. He played a lot of college football. And some of the reasons why these guys who are coming in and having success is because they played so many games. We saw how accurate he could be. I love watching Penix throw. Like, I think his ball was so pretty. And also, I don't think in a primetime game, he is someone who would be cowed by the lights the way other rookies might. He's played in massive games. Talk about college football national championship. That's a big game. I don't care if it's in college. Like, that has huge stakes. So he's been in spots. He's older. I like it too.
A couple of favorites that jump out to me. Um, the Bills sleepwalk through their win over New England. So you get those when you're a dominant team. The Jets outplayed the Rams, had a horrible fourth quarter. Now you've got Aaron Rodgers is not sure he's coming back. There's more noise than ever. Aaron's had a good last 6 to 8 weeks, but I think Buffalo's a significantly better team. Jets are a little dinged up. Garrett Wilson is unhappy with his targets. I think Buffalo flexes here. I think Buffalo also watched the Ravens and the Chiefs flex and play brilliantly as favorites. There's a separation. I don't like big favorites. I'm going to take Buffalo minus 8.5 off a horrible winning performance, sharper
So it's a
square.
little square. The numbers moved. It's moved in the Jets' direction. I can't fault you if you want to do this. Everything you just said are all the reasons why I was on the Bills last week. I thought they'd want to flex. I thought they'd want to respond to Lamar Jackson throwing 5 touchdowns against the Giants and put Josh Allen back in the leadership position and get a stranglehold on that MVP. It didn't happen, right? Drake May was running. He was throwing accurately. Obviously, different scenario. I lean into the Bills again, to be honest. I feel like everything you just said about the Jets is true, which is why I would want to back the Bills. Aaron Rodgers had been healthy for the past 3 weeks. He's now got a minor MCL issue on his knee. This team is a train wreck. I was all over the Jets last week. Wise guys were in the Jets last week. You cannot count on the Jets because the decision making of Jeff Ulbrich is so bad. He does not seem to understand the basic constructs of when to go for it on fourth down, situational play, clock management. If the Jets kick a field goal on 4th and 4 from the Rams 12-yard line last week, they're up 12-6, and that's the ball game. Like the Rams were not doing anything. Instead, he twice went for it on fourth downs, and that's basically when the Rams won the game. So it's hard to bet on the Jets because Jeff Ulbrich is just so bad at this.
Um, One more NFL game. This line's moved back and forth. Panthers getting 7.5, division game at the Bucs. Tampa's the better team. But I'll make the argument in the last month, Bryce Young is playing like a number 1 pick, and CJ Stroud's playing like a number 2 pick. The Panthers can move the ball. They've got a good coach. They can move the ball. Tampa's dinged up. I think they'll win, but division game, a hot quarterback, it kind of feels like an easy one.
Totally
Sharper square.
sharp. I haven't understood this line all week. The wise guys haven't either. It was at 8.5. It went down to 8. Now it's at 7.5 because money has been coming in on the Panthers. I think you're good until 7. At 7, you just sort of leave it alone. You want to get the hook off of that key number. A lot of games end on 7. That's when we talk about key numbers. 3, 7, those are the biggest ones. What's interesting about this game is a month ago, they played it in Carolina. Tampa was a 6.5-point favorite on the road, won in overtime because Chuba Hubbard fumbled the ball in field goal range for the
Yeah.
Bucs, right? So
Yeah.
now you take this game to Tampa. Tampa's only a 1.5 better when the line came out, went from 6.5 to 8, right? Normally, home field is 3 points. What that's telling you is two things. One, bookmakers have generally regraded the Panthers. They started off 1-7 against the spread. Bryce Young was terrible. Professional bettors have been betting the Panthers. I'm sure listeners remember early in the year, I was all over the Panthers. Bryce Young 2.0 is everything you just said. He's rolling out of the pocket, using his legs, incredibly accurate, standing in the pocket, taking really hard hits. He's been great. He's been a really good quarterback, much better than CJ Stroud, like you said. So bookmakers have adjusted to that. It's to me, 8 was still a little too high. Wise guys agree. You're sharp. Take the Panthers.
A college football line that jumps out to me. I don't believe you can win a national championship with a bad defense. That's why I think Texas and Ohio State probably play for the Natty. And I do think Georgia and Notre Dame are at least in play to play for the national championship. Oregon's defense is bad. Boise State ran on it. Ohio State did whatever they wanted on it. Penn State did whatever they wanted against the Ducks. I'm trying to forget the Tennessee game because it was in Columbus. Right. But Ohio State has played in the Rose Bowl before. Weather's not a factor. I said before the season, Oregon's going to beat Ohio State at Autzen. Ohio State will beat them in the rematch. It's under a field goal. I'd take the Buckeyes sharp or
Yeah, look,
square.
that's the sharp side right now, right? And that's where the money is. And when you see money in sort of any platform you're looking at, you can usually get betting percentages and money percentages. Money right now is on Ohio State. And look, you wouldn't expect Ohio State, which lost to Michigan, lost to Oregon, has had a lot of drama, questions about Ryan Day. The fact they beat up Tennessee the way they did, Oregon has been out of the spotlight for a little bit. There's a lot of sentiment about the Buckeyes defense, like you just said. So that's the way the money has been going in this game. Look, it's fascinating. It's rare you're going to get the second ranked, third ranked, whatever it is team to be the favorite over the number one ranked team. But that's the spot we're in because of everything you just said.
All right, there's a game I want you to kind of explain to me. So the Cardinals are missing both their offensive tackles. They have nothing to play for. The Rams are on a heater. The line starts at like 6. It's now 6.5. Arizona doesn't travel well, so from time to time the Rams can feel like a road team at home. This won't be one of these times. I get the better quarterback, the better coach. The Rams now are completely healthy. I feel like they're better than the line. That Jets game was built for them
Yep.
to lose. Early game, cold weather, good defense, and they played a brilliant fourth quarter. I feel like at 6 to 6.5, I have to bet the Rams. I know it's divisional. Sharp or square if I like the
Well, it's
Rams.
totally sharp if you like the Rams, but this is sort of the nuance of the betting business is getting the best of the number. This game on Sunday night opened Rams at -4. So I'll do the favorites with professional bettor Simon Hunter on Sunday night on the Volume Podcast Network. We'll do it, go on air at 7:30. We'll do it live. We're off air before the Sunday night game. The timing is relevant here because we will preview the games that we like the most. First glance, gut instinct, not having done any research for the following week. This game stood out immediately. We started talking about the Rams -4. Why is this number so low? The Rams just got out of a trap game against the Jets and they won. The week before, they got lucky. The Niners dropped a couple interceptions. They beat the Niners in a monsoon. Now they're going home, chance to clinch the division against a team that is down. James Conner injured. We saw him practicing, but still limping. Offensive lineman injured. Not a very good defense. A coach who doesn't know how to keep his team up yet, the way, say, Sean McVay would, or even Mike McCarthy did with the Cowboys against the Bucs. The number during that show went from 4 to 4.5 to 5 to 5.5. 30 minutes. It moved a point and a half. By Monday morning, it was 6. And so when you're talking about why isn't it sharp to bet the Rams now? Because the wise guys have been betting it since it was at 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, and a little bit at 6 until it got to 6.5. It got to 7. And wise guys started betting the Cardinals at 7. Again, the Rams are the right side. But if you want to win as a better long term, then you have to have enough discipline to choose the best of the number and then walk away if you don't feel like you're getting it. You could still bet the Rams at 6.5. You'll probably end up winning, but it's not going to be a sharp side at 6.5.
All right. I got to tell you, I've had a lousy year betting, but so far I've got 7 of 8 division winners. I pick a surprise playoff team every year. It was the Washington Commanders. I pick a team that will double the Vegas win total. It was the Denver Broncos. I said this on the air today on TV on FS1. There's the old saying with kids, the days are long, but the years fly by. And I feel like with the NFL, week to week, it's crazy, but over the course of a season, it's very predictable. So I've had a terrible year betting because I tend to take underdogs and value. I'm always seeking value over favorites, but a lot of favorites have won. I'm trying to think. I missed badly on the Jacksonville Jaguars, badly, but I'm proudest on my Commanders pick. If I said to you, give me your whiff and the one you'll plant the flag in as you're really proud of this year.
Oh, it's it's interesting. The whiff started as the Panthers, just because I loved him. I just thought this team, this
Yeah.
coach, this quarterback, this offensive line, more than anything, I just thought they were going to be much, much better. It ended up being a whiff because they started off so badly and I lost so much on them early in the year. Um, I'll take a little bit credit that they got better. And so I'm glad about that. To me, the one I'm most proud of is the Chargers. I love Jim Harbaugh. And we didn't even talk about that game. I think he's a football savant. And I think that what he did against the Broncos is the exact reason why his teams turn around so quickly, no matter the talent level. He knows the rules, he knows strategy, he knows clock management so well. What he did at the end of that first half against Sean Payton, who's a brilliant coach, was a masterclass, right? He takes the timeout, so they have to punt. The punt leads to the roughing the returner, the personal foul. That leads to the free kick. That leads to the Chargers having momentum and they win that game going away. That's good decision making. And you don't see that's what you don't see from Jeff Ulbrich. It's what you're not seeing from Jared Mayo.
Yeah.
Like you see the difference there. So to me, I'm most proud of the Chargers because I thought they'd be good this year. And I played it that way. I'll also tell you that the
By
bet
the
the
way,
bet that I always love the most, which I'm still in play for, I always do sort of a round robin on the teams that are at 12 to 1 or shorter to win the Super Bowl. And I will bet them in Super Bowl matchups because you can usually get those at like between 20 and 35 to 1. So you bet the Chiefs and the Lions. You bet the Chiefs and the Eagles. You bet the Ravens and the Lions. You bet the Ravens and the Eagles. And you bet the Bills and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Um, I'm still alive with that. Even with the Bengals, I'm alive with that if they make the playoffs. So I always like that bet and feel good now that the Chiefs and the Ravens, at least, are two of the teams that I most heavily favored at the beginning of the year, along with the Eagles and the Lions. And I feel good that those matchups are still in play.
Chargers -4 at New England, as long as we're talking about Harbaugh. I tend to like teams favored. J.K. Dobbins should play, Gus Edwards out. Which side do you
Oh, I
lean?
totally lean Chargers. And this is walking into a hornet's nest. Like in any other year, you mentioned the favorites, right? In any other year, we're playing the Patriots here. We're playing a team that's out of it at home, more than a field goal underdog, a team traveling that's fighting to make the playoffs. Every trend will tell you against the spread in this scenario, the underdog is the right play. But for what we just talked about, I think Harbaugh's a brilliant coach. I think that teams are making more aggressive decisions, so they're scoring more points. I think that the fact that the most teams are starting field position at the 30-yard line is getting them closer to scoring in the other side of the field and making them more comfortable on 4th and 4 from the 40 going forward instead of kicking a field goal. And so I think that's one of the reasons why we're seeing underdogs lose so much this year and favorites win is there's more opportunity for them to score at a higher rate in bigger chunks. And it's impacting betting. Like bettors are not having a great year, you know. Favorites have gone 71% straight up this year, just winning straight up. That's the most profitable season since 2013. Teams getting over 60% at the spread. So we talk about fading the public. We want to be contrarian because the public doesn't know anything. Teams getting over 60% at the spread, covering 56% this year against the spread. Home underdogs, 43% against the spread this year. That'll be the third least profitable season since 1990. So for people like you, people like me, I want to fade the public. I want to bet home underdogs. That's usually where the value is. It's been a rough go of it, man.
Chad Millman, co-host of The Favorites. Good luck,
Good luck
buddy.
to all of us.
I judge the quality of a fragrance by the compliments you get. When I wore Ovation for the first time, second time, and third time, usually I walk past somebody and they're like, hey, what you got on? Who over there smelling good? You know, that's the injection of confidence right there to you.
That's right. We want to be at the forefront of using the brand as a gateway for these young athletes. Custom suit, we do a photo shoot, we do video, and it's all about that partnership to create a personal brand.
And I love you guys associating it with more sophistication. Throwing a suit on a kid, sometimes it takes for you to see yourself with a suit on in the mirror to be like, hey, I have more to offer.
Ovation for Men, we're part of Amazon's Black Business Accelerator. You know, Amazon has invested $150 million for the next 4 years to uplift small businesses like myself to scale. You know, Amazon is really putting their money where their mouth is.
They're committed to excellence on every level. They want to scale these businesses to be amongst the best in whatever industry they're in.
You've always been authentic. You've always been pushing excellence.
Well, I appreciate that.
As our slogan says, every man deserves an ovation.
Yes, sir.
Listen, this relationship with Ovation for Men, Richard Sherman, The Volume, this is just the beginning.
I appreciate you guys letting me be a part of your journey. If you haven't already checked them out, go out there, get your man some. And get the sport too. And it can be Christmas, birthday, holidays, or yesterday. But make sure you get it.